Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Code Way Too Easy. I'm Jimmy Espana, and I'm going to be, again, your instructor. Again, this is our fourth video in the series of our startup, just learning how to code. So again, let's recap. Code is nothing more than just instructions that you are given to a computer. Computer is going to take the instructions line by line. It's just going to execute whatever you tell it to do, right? The other concept that we've been talking about in the last videos, and I'm going to make re-emphasis in this point in this video, is, of course, variables. Variables are nothing more than a container in the programming language and the coding itself that holds a value, has a name by which you can reference it, and that's it. So these are the main concepts we're learning also, and we've been learning how to print pieces of text onto the screen, and we can tell the computer how to print some output, some type of information on the screen so the user can see it. We learned about how we can create a variable. It's like a container. You can store a value inside it, and then you can modify it and do stuff with it later, call it later. And then again, coding, the general idea, of course, is nothing more than just instructions. That's what a computer does. That's all it does. It takes instructions and executes it line by line. Whatever you, the coder or the programmer or the software engineer, you, the architect, is deciding to actually have the computer do. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we're going to get to it. So the last videos we did Golang, which is one of the many programming language. We also did Python, and we did also Java. Now we're going to do JavaScript. So let's go ahead and jump right here. So here's a JavaScript online editor compiler I found online that we can use. Again, the way you would do this in JavaScript, again, a programming language is nothing more than just a tool. So in this tool, we want to output some information. This is our typical Hello World program. It's just a single line of code. So let's go ahead and run this. By clicking this run button here. It's running, and then as we would expect, it just outputs a piece of text. In this case, everything between the double quotes, it says Hello World. All right, so we know how to output information. Now let's recall how we can do, again, this is JavaScript, but other languages, it's going to be the same idea. Let's go ahead and inform the user, hello, we are about to create a variable. Right? So we're going to go ahead and output this. I'm going to copy this line of code, and then I'm going to go ahead and create my variable. In JavaScript, you can create a variable by saying let's say the variable name is going to be called I guess triple G, 1, 2, 3 G's. Let G equal the number 8. All right. And then now we've created a variable. Now we're going to inform the user the following. Let's go ahead and say the variable or container created is, and then we're going to do another print statement, and we're going to reference our variable that we just created. So we're going to say print, and then we're going to indicate the variable, which is GGG. Close that parentheses, and that's it, guys. Let's go ahead and run this, see what happens. And then as you can see, we've provided output here. Hello, we are about to create a variable. We already created the variable here, and then the next thing that gets printed, again, that's what coding is. It's just instructions that are given to the computer line by line. That's all it does. It follows it. The variable or container created is, and then we output the value of our variable. The name of our variable is GG. And GGG, and it has the value 8, so it outputs that. So that's how you do that in JavaScript. Let's go ahead and take a look at another language. Actually, let's get into C++. Again, remember, don't be intimidated by programming languages. It's just a tool, right? So we would follow the same idea. The syntax and the way things are written in a language differs from language to language, but the same idea. So in a lot of programming language, there's something called a method or a function. Main. They normally title it main. In C++, we have this function or method, and it's called main. And this is the very first thing that gets run. So when the computer is coming to execute this, it's going to look for this main method. It's everything in between these two curly brackets is going to execute. So in this case, it seems like we're taking this piece of string denoted by the double quotes, and it's going to output or give this information, this piece of text all the way into what we called standard, and I forgot what the COT stands for in C++. But basically, we're given this piece of text to this item here, which corresponds to this black terminal window here. So let's go ahead and run it and see what actually happens. It's running, and that's all it does. It outputs that information. So very similar to what we did over here with JavaScript, except it's the syntax and the way you execute that is a little different, but the same idea follows. So let's go ahead and do the same idea. Let's go ahead and create a variable. We're going to go ahead and inform the user. This here, right here, you can see that it changed color. It's a new line, so we're telling it to create a new line, or put it after it outputs this information. Go ahead and start on the next line. So let's go ahead and tell the user here that we are creating the variable GGG, all caps, and its value is, and then let's go ahead, and again, I'm not sure how to create variables in C, so I'm going to go to my tool over here, Google. One thing I'll be teaching you guys is learning how to do good Googling. So we're talking about C++, how to create a variable. So let's see. This is kind of the first time, essentially, I'm programming in C++, so I'm not sure how the syntax is exactly, but there's a website out here that we can follow. So we have to indicate the type of variable it is. Is it a number? Is it a piece of text? Whatever. So here's some examples. So sweet. So we got something that can work out here. So let's go ahead and copy this line of code and just put this into our program over here. And we got to format this correctly. So let's tab over just a bit. So we've created a int variable, integer variable, a number variable, my num. The value is 15. And then what we're going to do is, I guess, output, similar to what we did over here, output that to this what does COU2? I need to figure that out. It bothers me that I don't know. So let's learn. Let's Google that and figure out. So in C++, what is this? So COUT is an object in C++, is an object of the class O stream, which I believe that stands for output stream. So we're outputting information. So essentially, we're talking about this black terminal window here. So that's what that is. So let's go ahead and run this. And again, a computer just follows instructions line by line. So the first thing it's going to do is going to output this to the terminal window here. It's going to create a variable, and then it's going to immediately output that variable value. So let's go ahead and run it. It's running. Oh, we have some syntax error here. All right, so it doesn't know this. So this is a compile error, and we'll get into debugging and everything later on. But use of declared did not mean. Okay, so they're telling us, didn't you mean to do it this way? So this website that we grabbed from maybe is using an older version or a different version of C++ than this one. So let's copy this, because this one did work over here. So let's just copy that and put that right there. Go ahead and run it. Hopefully it doesn't have any issues, and effectively it doesn't have any issues. So it outputs what we wanted it. And actually, we lied because we said GGG here, but our variable name is actually my num. Let's just make it match. So let's go ahead and just run it again one more time. Ooh, my num. So I've changed GGG here, but not over here. So let me go ahead and change that variable GGG. And now we run it. It should be fine. And it's just one of those things with coding. You just got to try different things. So you can notice that this output it a little differently. So the numbers output it, but then immediately the program dies here. What I would like to see is this. So what we probably need to do is incorporate a new line character. So let's grab this piece of code here to make this just look a little bit better. And let's just output the new line character immediately after we do this. So let's run it like this. And then you see, this looks a little bit better. We output the information line by line, and now we can start afresh here. So that's how you do that in C++. Now let's actually go to another programming language. It's programming language C. And let's go ahead and run this nicely. There's some sample code. Again, this is I'm going to provide these links to you so you can practice some of these different ways of doing creating variables and outputting information to the screen on these different languages that we've covered so far in this video. So let's go ahead and run this as it is. And again, this is the programming language C, which is slightly different from C++. But here we go. We ran this. And effectively, it said, hello world, sweet. So let's go ahead and create a variable in C and output it as well. So I just want to show you all these different languages. The idea is the same. There's a variable, you create a variable, you give it a name, you put a value to it, and then you can output information, piece of information to the output screen of your program. So here we go. Let's go ahead and say, let's create a new message here. We're going to go ahead and say, creating variable GG and going to output its value right here, right now. So here we go. So I'm not familiar how to do a variable in C. Maybe it's similar to this. So maybe let's just copy this idea here. Let's copy this idea from C++. And I would imagine the syntax should be similar since they're both C type of languages. So GG, let's change this to the value 6. Let's just run it and see what happens. So it runs and it outputs what we said we wanted it to output, but the only thing we did is we created the variable, but we haven't done anything with the variable. So now let's go ahead and do another printf statement here, and we are going to reference our variable. And let's put a semicolon. You see in this particular language, we need to have a semicolon here. But if you looked at the language that we did with the JavaScript, let's see if I can pull it up real quick, JavaScript. So in here, this language, JavaScript, doesn't require anything at the end of the line of code. These languages actually do. They need a semicolon. All right. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Okay, so we have an error here. So it doesn't recognize this GGG here that we created. 2 warnings generated. Exit segment. All right, wow, there's a lot of information here. Again, I have never programmed in C, but we got to figure out incompatible integer. Oh, okay, so incompatible integer pointer conference. Okay, so we're getting this error here. And so it's something, and it doesn't like the way we did this here. So we need to format string. Format string is not a string. So this is not a string. GGG, the variable GGG, is not a string. It's actually an integer. So we need to somehow be able to tell the C language here, the computer here, that we want this to be treated like a piece of text. So let's see how we can do that. Incompatible integer pointer conversion, passing int to a parameter type of constant char. Okay, so let's see it's how we can do this. Again, I'm going to go over to Google and I'm going to just figure out how we can do this and see. So so we're trying to print an integer. So let's go ahead and type how to see output int variable. All right, how to store system output command output. Let's see. No, that's not what we want. Basic input and output in C. Let's see. So there's a website that hopefully can teach us how to do this. Okay, so let's see. Lego. Let's see, guys. Let's see if we can figure this out. So it looks like we need to format it somewhat like this. Let's see. Character float. Here we go. Integer variable. Here we go. This may work. So we're dealing with integer. So let's do something like this. Let's go ahead and copy this. And again, this is you will get better with Googling and stuff like this. But let's go ahead and follow the same idea here. We need to indicate, and so we're going to get rid of this. This is not going to work for C. But let's go ahead and take this example. So basically, we're telling this function or method here, printf, that we want to output a piece of text. And this is a very special thing. We're telling it that this is like a temporary type of little intermediate step. Like it's a variable that's going to be indicated here by the second parameter. So this is the first parameter, comma. Then we have a second parameter, a second thing that we're passing in. So this should work. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. And yay, it actually works, guys. That's awesome. That's awesome. So this is the way you would actually get this all to work in the programming language C. So that's a lot of information, guys. We talked about C, C++, JavaScript. We learned how to output information to the screen, create a variable, store a value to it, output that information to the screen. So these are the very beginning steps that you need to become a good coder. And again, this is code way too easy. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. And before we go, let's fix this little problem here. Remember, we had this issue where it looks a little weird. And so what we can actually do is create another print statement. But in this print statement, we're not going to have two parameters. We're just going to have a simple, that little idea of the \n. Let's go ahead and indicate that, \n, and run it. And then that looks a little bit better. So we have this, and then perfect. All right, so sweet, guys. Anyway, just a heads up, I'm in the process of creating a Google Classroom. There's going to be a free version and a premium version. I'll get into the details of the difference, but I want this to be free for you guys. This good content, these videos, you can go to the class. I'll be providing assignments for you guys to learn about all these different concepts in coding, and we're going to go from there and just learn and have fun and build little things that are going to help us become better problem solvers, thinkers. But again, guys, this is code way too easy. I'm Jimmy, and I'm your instructor. Thank you for joining, and more information about the premium and the free versions of this online course that I'm providing you guys. I'm really excited. I wish you guys a good day, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Let's go ahead and close this, and bye, guys. Bye.